Once upon a time, there lived two fairy tale animated features. It was back in the days at the peak of Shrek's popularity, and the franchise was the biggest name in animation next to Bugs Bunny and Mickey Mouse. Naturally, others start to notice this success and decided to take advantage of it by creating their own animated fairy tale spoof film. And thus came 2005's Hoodwinked and 2007's Happily Never After. The first one, Hoodwinked, ended up with some mixed results. Sure, the animation looks like nothing but pure garbage, but it does make up for it with some really clever writing and a cast of hilarious and likable characters. As for the second one, Happily Never After, yeah, that one is definitely the poor man's Shrek. On top of the cheap animation, the characters are dull, the story is lazy, and whatever it tries to do with the fairy tales is all over the place without a single idea of its purpose. Eventually, a few years down the road, both these films ended up receiving a sequel. And guess what? They both suck. It's actually quite interesting putting these two together. Not just because both the originals have similar concepts, but they're both equally as bad for completely different reasons. Starting with Hoodwinked 2, I guess it had a slight improvement on the animation, but that's seriously not saying much. This movie is seriously dumbed down to the point that anything clever from the first movie has been long dead. I don't know what went wrong during the writing, but now it's been completely reduced to this lazy and cliched buddy cop story that depends on pointless pop culture references in order to achieve what this movie calls humor.
Did you just laugh at me? Do I amuse you?
No, I hate my job.
On top of that, the movie even screwed up the portrayal of their own characters, now being an uninteresting and generic cast, and some can even get on your nerves. And then you have cases like Twitchy where they screwed him up so bad.
Doesn't need you. Doesn't need you. Red is out there looking for her granny all alone, and she needs your help, even if she won't admit it.
What do you mean I talk too fast? I don't talk too fast. My family talks like this. I don't understand. Everybody seems to understand me.
Well, I guess your problem is solved. Are you happy now?
Moving along to Happily Never After 2, the most that I could say about the movie itself is that, yeah, it's really bad, but in terms of the writing, it's not as awful as Hoodwinked 2. It's more of your generic teenage girl story that tells them not to be a dumb, selfish brat and go help others. Funny enough, despite being called Happily Never After 2, it actually has nothing to do with its predecessor other than having Mambo, Monk, and Rumpelstiltskin running around. In fact, arguably, there are a few elements that they did better than in the first one. But then you have the animation and oh my god! Oh my god, look at that! Oh my god, look at that! Oh my god, it looks so cheap! I have never seen animation this laughably bad in a long time. I kid you not. Actually, oh my god, do you guys really want to know how bad the animation is? Alright, do you see that little table right there? Yeah, that little table right there. Just do me a little favor and just peek underneath that table. Don't mind the people that are there. Just go and peek underneath that table. Just check, trust me. We're dealing with that kind of quality! We're legit dealing with that kind of quality! Rather it be so bad it's lazy, or that it's so bad it's hilarious, all I know is that I'll happily never see these two ever again.
But Zach? But Zach? Oh, fine, we'll do it your way. Good.
What did I say?
right, I think it has been long enough, and you know, we are pretty high on the list, so I think it's time that we finally go and unleash it. And
Is it time? Is it Cloudy 2 time?
yes, it is! For the number 3 worst animated sequel of all time, we got, of course, Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs 2. I know, right? It's about time. It's about time. However, I would like to say, though, that there are some of you who are familiar with my work, and chances are you have already seen me explaining how terrible this movie is, how Cloudy 2 is just, good God, it's just unbearable to watch. Rather it be through my 30-minute review, or that time when I placed it as the number 1 worst animated film of 2013. So, if you guys would like to be wise enough, and you want to hear the full explanation to how terrible this movie is, then I highly recommend you go and check those 2 out. Or just one of the 2, either way. But also, at the same time, I do see that we have here some brand new people. Some people who are not familiar with my work and probably asking, who's that guy with that weird orange fedora? But also, simultaneously, they do not know the awfulness that Cloudy 2 has in store. They don't know. But I decided, I was a bit in a dilemma, you know? I felt like, I don't know, I need to find a way to both satisfy the people who know my work, to not repeat myself, and to satisfy the new people for the sake of this list that I do have to explain why this movie is absolute garbage. So, I decided to do a special thing, a really special thing that I'm sure you guys are gonna like, that I'm going to do a top 5 list within a top 10 list. What do you guys think? I know? Oh, yeah, all right, sweet. I'm glad that you like it. All right, so, are you ready, James?
Ready when you are.
All right, awesome. So here we go, ladies and gentlemen. The top 5 reasons why Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs 2 is the number 3 worst animated sequel. Number 5. The writers are so lazy that they completely rehashed the plot of its predecessor. Seriously, think about it, guys. It's about this mentally challenged amateur scientist who created this machine that turns water into food, and then the machine suddenly goes haywire, creating all different sorts of food oddities, and it's up to him and his friends to go and stop the machine. While at the same time, there is a villain who's trying to persuade the protagonist to let the machine continue its course. I don't know about you, but am I the only one here who's getting a case of deja vu? Number 4. The poorly made animation that's desperately over the top that it now becomes unwatchably bad. Well, this movie already proves that the writers cannot write, the directors cannot direct, the producers clearly have no idea what they're doing, and neither do the people in charge of the animation, so why don't you just go and do this for 90 minutes and just hope that the audience is too stupid enough to notice a single thing? Number 3. The last-minute addition of that dumb thing that they call an environmental message. Well, the audience has already lost some brain cells, so why not let's be nice and refill those brain cells by saying to go save the animals. Made of food like fruits, hamburgers, and tacos. Yeah, I think the filmmakers has also lost a lot of brain cells too. Number 2. The torturous amount of food puns that this movie uses as humor. It's actually quite fascinating, really, because this movie is actually so unfunny that it makes those parody movies, you know, like epic movie, date movie, disaster movie, look like they were done by Mel Brooks. And the number 1 reason why Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs 2 is the number 3 worst animated sequel is... Hey, hold on, wait a minute, hold everything. James, stop, hold on. There must be some kind of mistake. Something's not right here. Like, I'm looking into the list again, and something's not right. Most of it is explaining why Food Fight is considered one of the worst animated films. Are you sure this is for Cloudy too? Well, I guess it doesn't really matter anyways. With the amount of quality and effort put into both films, they're both almost the same movie anyways. Play it for me, James! Whew! That was a lot of fun. But do you know what's not fun? Space Chimps! This is one of those movies that you know by going into it, it'll be bad, but you never thought that it would exceed your expectations by being even worse than you'd imagine. Like, you never expect that the story is that cliched, or that the animation is that awful, or that the characters are that stupid. Yeah, it's that bad. So when you have a movie that is that bad, imagine how worse it gets when you come across the sequel. I could tell you that there was nothing that prepared me to see how these monkeys would lower the bar than they already did. Now, considering that Zartog is in the title, you'd expect that he would play a very prominent role. Well, not really. In fact, this movie isn't even about Zartog or even the main three chimps in the first one. Instead, the main character in this is Comet, whom before is only the ground control monkey that knows a lot about technology. He's somehow depressed because, for some reason, he's being treated like everyone's assistant and can't go up in space, which means that he won't meet Kilowatt. But somehow he's on a rocket that accidentally blasts off, which lands him in Malgore. That means that Comet is gonna face Zartog there, right? No! Zartog is actually on Earth vowing revenge on Ham. So, despite taking the majority of the movie, what does Comet have to do with anything?
Nothing! Absolutely nothing!
Now let me just pause that clip for a second here, and let me just say that, as you can probably tell, this is a massive problem with the movie, considering that the grand majority of it is nothing but a waste of time. Like the movie itself, but however, this is just one of the big problems here, on top of the terrible looking animation. The other big problem is with the characters. Why? Resume the clip.
Stupid! You're so stupid!
I am dead serious when I say that we're dealing with a cast with an IQ of 0. They can literally be next to a rocket ship that suddenly blasts off without their consent, making a huge sound wave, and they wouldn't even notice a single thing until 5 minutes later when they say, "Hey, where did the rocket go?" In fact, here's a perfect example of how stupid these characters are. When Titan stumbles upon Zartog, the villain who tried to kill him in the first film, how does he react?
Where's Ham? He's probably in the Simeon Center. Here, let me give you a tour. This place has everything.
You give him a tour. A freaking tour? Oh, no. That's perfectly understandable. I mean, Batman would have done the same thing, you know. He would go and give a tour to the Batcave to the guy that killed his freaking parents. How do you even function as a sentient being?
I'm thinking our decision to bring a Fresnar encased alien back to Earth. Big mistake!
Yeah, no sh. And you want to know something that's even stupider, both for the characters and the filmmakers? One of the important plot points is that the scientists created a handheld device that can departicleize anything. And Zartog managed to get his hands on it. And as you can clearly see, the device is a freaking Wii remote. And no, they don't even make it aware of it either. There's no hiding it. What they are holding is a godforsaken product of Nintendo, just without the console or any of the shame from the makers of this trash. Seriously, screw this movie hard. 2 can play at this game. Woo! Man, that felt real good. Anyways, now, before we go and move on to the absolute worst of the worst when it comes to animated sequels, I would like to have an honorable mention. As as I've previously stated, it has been 5 years since this list that I went and made the top 10 best animated sequels. And I can guarantee you guys that I had a lot more fun making that list than the one that I'm currently doing. I mean, you can perfectly understand why. But anyways, over the years after I made that list, there have been plenty more sequels that have been created. Some are good and some are bad. But then there are those that were so good that it kind of made me regret making the best list a little too early. Now, I know that this statement will continue on forever. Even after that I made this list, I know for a fact that there will be plenty more of animated sequels that would have been a perfect fit either for the best animated sequels or the worst animated sequels. It would have been. But unfortunately, you gotta go and work with what you got now. So, in honor of the 5th anniversary of the list, here is an updated version of the top 10 best animated sequels. Number 10, Ghost in the Shell 2 Innocence. Number 9, Aladdin and the King of Thieves. Number 8, The Lion King 2 Simba's Pride. Number 7, Despicable Me 2. Number 6, Finding Dory. Number 5, Rugrats in Paris. Number 4, Shrek 2. Number 3, The Rescuers Down Under. Number 2, a tie with Kung Fu Panda 2 and How to Train Your Dragon 2. And still at number 1, Toy Story 3. You know, I could have easily given the number 1 worst spot to some of the movies I've previously said before. Very easily. You know, this seems like a list that either Space Chimps 2 or Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs 2 would have easily dominated as the worst animated sequel ever. Very easily. But oh no. Oh no. They could have gotten the number 1 spot if it weren't for freaking things, guys, not letting go of the Titanic!
There's a little yellow boat going down to the wreck of the Titanic.
You gotta be kidding me!
Yes, believe it or not, there is actually a sequel to one of the animated Titanic films. Specifically, the one where nobody dies during the disaster, has a cast that includes protocoling mice, prison sharks, a giant octopus with a puppy dog face, evil whalers, talking dolphins, and all historical accuracies are completely disregarded by saying,
"It's all a misunderstanding."
Now, the reason why they wanted to make a sequel to this has remained unknown, but if I may suggest a theory, since The Legend of the Titanic is an obvious ripoff of the 1997 film, the sequel is trying to do the same thing by shamelessly trying to cash in on another James Cameron film, the 2003 documentary Ghost of the Abyss, which explains why the English title of this movie is called In Search of the Titanic. Let me just start off by saying that there is no such thing as consistency here. There is barely a single thing that connects itself to its own predecessor. I mean, the dog can now comfortably talk in front of the humans, and the shark does a rap number, presumably due to jealousy over another animated Titanic film. And by the way, those two things happen within the first 5 minutes of the movie. The rest? Well, you know what? I'm just gonna show you some clips to let the movie explain itself. So, tell me, what happens in this Titanic movie?
Not at all. We'll give them breathing apparatus and take them to Atlantis.
Atlantis?
Of course, when they realize that we're giving them the elixir of life and they'll never grow old again, they'll just want to thank us and celebrate forever.
What? Why did we land in the island of misfit toy? Whatever. Let's just cut to the villains. Who are they anyways?
And thanks to the elixir, we'll be able to conquer the world and rule over everyone!
Are you freaking kidding me? Now what? Are we gonna get the grand battle of Atlantis versus a bunch of rats?
A bit to the right. Get a better aim. That's it, good.
Excuse me, but who gave the freaking dog a laser gun?
Going well.
But outside of that madness, some of you might be wondering, what does any of this have to do with the Titanic? Is the Titanic even a part of this movie? No, not really. In fact, they barely even mention it throughout the whole film, other than that mouse's hat that serves as a reminder that yes, this is a Titanic movie, and the Baron, by the way, he's back too, only appearing for a few minutes mentioning something about the treasures of the Titanic. I don't know what the fridge that's all about. But it's not until the end of the film when the king decides to give Don Juan and Elizabeth the entire ship, all refurbished and fixed up, along with their own tropical island. In other words, the Titanic has been reduced to a giveaway prize.
Here is the reward we promised you. This island is now yours, and this will be your new home.
But your rewards don't end there. On top of your own ship and island, you can also get an amazing view of the place with each of your own towers. And if ever you want to fly to new locations, you can always take this blimp to carry you away. And this is on top of giving you the ability to breathe underwater, and you will literally live forever. All because you have been such great sports at my kingdom. Why am I giving all this away to a bunch of strangers that I've only just met and did absolutely nothing other than their animals doing all the hard work for them? It's because I'm crazy.
I think it's safe to say that this is the worst animated Titanic film of all of them, and also one of the worst animated features, period. But despite that, despite all that, this is one of those movies that the only way that people could believe it is if they could see it for themselves. You can't just tell someone that there's an animated Titanic film that's barely about the Titanic, and it's set in Atlantis with living toys and evil rats bent on world domination, and that it's a sequel to a ripoff of James Cameron's Titanic. It's way too ridiculous to think that anybody would be insane enough to make this real, and if you describe it to someone, don't be surprised if their reaction is,
"He's as mad as a hatter. He keeps talking about Atlantis, of mermen and mermaids, of conquering the world."
The only way that you can believe that this is real is only by watching the movie yourself. But I must warn you, if you ever decide to watch this, remember that you're about to enter the #1 worst animated sequel of all time.
That's me.
And that's all I've got for the top 10 worst animated sequels. You see, this is why I barely do a top 10 list of the worst of anything. Not only I have to endure through these disasters, but plenty more than what should be considered tolerated. And trust me, by the way, this is going to take a lot more than just watch a good animated sequel, that'll help. No, it'll take a lot more than that to heal these wounds. I'm sorry that I'm like this, but I'm just sick of all this, man. I'm just sick of watching bad sequel after bad sequel, and each and every single one of them, it just sounds more and more like the ramblings of a crazy hobo. I'm sorry, but I'm just tired of this, man. I'm just tired of the... Wait, would that actually be the case?
And then they find themselves in Atlantis, where they have to fight off against evil rats accompanied by sharks who want to steal the elixir that allows them to live forever in order to take over the world. Now, if you excuse me for a moment, I got another call to answer. I'll get back to you shortly on Titanic 2. Hello? Oh, hey, Sony. I'm glad that you're enjoying my idea of the Emoji Movie. You're very welcome with that. But I got another idea for you if you want to listen. Now, here's the thing. You know that movie with all those surfing penguins? You need to make another one. But you know what's been missing this whole time? Wrestlers! I want to see wrestlers in surfs up. Hey! Can you keep it down up there? I'm trying to profit from idiots!
Let me go! Let me